I've built a lot of stuff in my shop. Tables, chairs, shelves. You name it. My old workbench was getting wobbly. It had served me well, but it was time for an upgrade. I wanted something solid, something that would last for years. I started sketching ideas, like I always do. But then a thought popped into my head. It was one of those crazy, late-night ideas you usually ignore. What if I let an AI design it for me? The whole thing, start to finish. Could a computer program that has never held a chisel or felt the grain of a piece of oak really design a functional workbench for a woodworker? The idea was just too weird to pass up. I mean, think about it. AI is everywhere now. It writes articles. It makes pictures. It can even compose music. But can it do woodworking? Can it understand the real-world physics of a heavy-duty workbench? I was skeptical, to say the least. Woodworking is a hands-on craft. It's about feel, experience, and learning from your mistakes. It's not just about numbers and diagrams. A good workbench needs to be more than just a table. It needs to be a reliable partner in the shop. It has to be flat, sturdy, and designed for clamping. So the experiment was on. I sat down at my computer feeling a little bit like a mad scientist. The AI generated the design in less than a minute. It was impressive and a little scary. It gave me a full-cut list, step-by-step instructions, three-dimensional renderings from different angles. At first glance, it looked like a workbench. 4 beefy legs, a thick top, a lower shelf. So far, so good. But then I started looking at the details. The AI had designed the legs using a laminated construction, strong, stable posts from cheaper 2x4s. That was a solid idea. It seemed to know what it was talking about. Then I saw the first weird feature. It suggested half-lap joints to connect the aprons to the legs. That's a good, strong joint. But it also specified 8-inch structural screws and epoxy in every single joint. That's some serious overkill. It was like the AI knew the joint was strong but added glue and massive screws just to be safe. A traditional plan would choose one method or use a drawboard mortise and tenon. The AI felt like it was throwing every fastening method at the problem. The dimensions were also a little strange. It recommended a bench height of 37 inches. That's pretty tall for a workbench, or 36 inches. A taller bench can be good for detail work, but awkward for hand planing. Even for me, 37 inches felt high. The top was specified as exactly 4¼ inches thick, not 4 inches, not 4½. An oddly precise number that seemed to come from nowhere. It made me wonder if the AI understood ergonomics or just calculated numbers. My excitement was mixed with head-scratching. The plan was detailed. It even told me what grit sandpaper to use. But it lacked a human touch. The touch from years of leaning against a bench, clamping wood to the top, sweeping sawdust from its feet. Technically sound on paper, but cold and calculated. Modern laminated parts, old-school joinery, fastener overkill. A strange mix. I decided to build it exactly as the AI instructed, strange dimensions and all. I couldn't just say, hey, design a workbench. I needed to be specific. I typed out my prompt, trying to give it just enough information to be useful, but not so much that I was designing it myself. I asked for a professional woodworker's workbench made from common construction lumber. Thick, laminated top. A shelf for storage. Strong enough to handle heavy pounding with a mallet. I hit enter and waited. The first step was heading to the home center. The AI's cut list was incredibly specific. It called for 22 8-foot-long 2x4s, 3 sheets of 3/4-inch plywood. That's a lot of wood. I loaded up my cart, feeling the weight of the AI's ambition. Back in the shop, I started laminating the legs and the massive workbench top. This part was straightforward. It involved a whole lot of wood glue and what felt like every clamp I owned. The AI's instructions: apply a generous, even layer of glue. Clamp every 6 inches. It was tedious, but I followed the rules. Next up, cutting the joinery. Half-lap joints for the entire frame. Fired up the table saw and the dado stack. Cut big notches in the legs. Cut notches in the aprons. The joints were snug. The frame began to come together like a giant puzzle. Then, the AI's obsession with fasteners. Apply epoxy to the joints. Clamp them. Drive in the massive 8-inch structural screws. Driving those long screws into glued-up joints was tough. My impact driver was screaming by the end. Once the base was assembled, time to wrestle the top. The laminated slab of 2x4s was incredibly heavy. Getting it onto the base was a two-person job and a struggle. The AI's plan for attaching the top. More big screws, driven up through the aprons. The build wasn't all smooth sailing. The first major problem I ran into was with the joinery. The AI's half-lap joints were strong, but the design created an issue. The legs were laminated 2x4s. The half-lap cut exposed the glue lines. It looked ugly. A human might have oriented the boards differently, or chosen a different joint, like a mortise and tenon. The AI ignored aesthetics. It only cared about structural integrity. It was functional, but not pretty. Another challenge was the AI's lack of real-world common sense. The plan didn't mention wood movement. It told me to glue the solid top to the base aprons, and to screw it down tight. Any experienced woodworker knows that's a huge mistake. A wide top expands and contracts with humidity. Locking it down will split the top, or tear the base apart. The AI's design was a time bomb. It understood static forces, but not the dynamic nature of wood. I had to go off script. I refused to follow that instruction. Instead of gluing the top down, I used oversized holes and washers. That lets the top be screwed down tightly, but still move seasonally. It was a critical fix the AI missed. It showed why human experience matters. After all the building, fixing, and adapting, the workbench was finally done. And I have to admit, it's a beast. The thing is rock solid. I can hammer on it, and I can lean on it, and it doesn't budge an inch. The AI's obsession with overkill lamination and giant screws paid off in terms of pure stability. The laminated 4¼ inch thick top is dead flat and heavy enough to absorb any vibration. From a durability standpoint, the AI absolutely nailed it. This bench will probably outlast me. It feels like a commercial-grade piece of equipment. Visually, it's interesting. It has a very modern, almost industrial look to it, which is different from the classic workbenches I'm used to. The thick, chunky proportions and the visible structural screws give it a unique character. It's not elegant, but it is purposeful. The 37-inch height actually turned out to be pretty comfortable for me, especially for tasks that don't require a lot of downward pressure. It saves my back a little bit when I'm doing detail work. So, the AI's weird ergonomic choice wasn't a total miss after all, at least for me. Let's talk about cost. Building this thing was not cheap. The AI's design called for a huge amount of lumber and plywood. All told, the materials cost me well over $400. You could definitely build a very good workbench for less money using a more traditional design that is more efficient with materials. The AI seemed to prioritize strength above all else, without any regard for budget. It just specified what it calculated was needed for maximum rigidity, and that meant using a lot of wood. It's a premium bench with a premium price tag, even when built from construction-grade lumber. In terms of usefulness, it's fantastic, but only after the modifications I made. With the addition of the vise and the dog holes, it's a fully functional woodworking station. The massive, flat top is a joy to work on, and the lower shelf holds a ton of tools. The AI gave me a phenomenal foundation, a super strong skeleton that I had to flesh out with the features that actually make a workbench useful. The final result is a hybrid, part AI-calculated brute strength and part human-centered practical design. It's a quirky but lovable addition to my shop. So, what did I learn from all this? If you want to see the full design file or try your own AI-generated project, let me know in the comments. I might make a full tutorial next time. This experiment changed how I think about AI in woodworking. It's not going to replace human woodworkers anytime soon. It lacks intuition. It lacks an understanding of materials. It lacks the aesthetic sense that comes from experience. My AI-designed bench would have destroyed itself over time if I had followed the instructions perfectly. It missed key functional elements obvious to any woodworker. It designed a table with incredible strength, not a practical workbench. Still, I was blown away by what it could do. Great for brainstorming. Great for generating a baseline idea fast. It can produce a full 3D model. It can produce a detailed cut list. And it does this in seconds. It's excellent at math. It's excellent at geometry. It helps you visualize a project. It figures how much material you need before you go to the lumber yard. I see it as a digital apprentice. It can handle tedious calculations, leaving creative, nuanced decisions to the human. If you want to try it, go for it. But go in with open eyes. Don't treat the AI's plan as gospel. Treat it as a first draft, a detailed, interesting first draft. Use your judgment and experience to question its choices. Ask yourself, does this make sense? Does it account for wood movement? Is it practical for how I work? The AI can give you the what. You still need to provide the why. AI can be a fun, useful partner in the workshop. It can push you to try new things. It can make you think about construction differently. The final bench in my shop is proof. It's stronger. It has a more unique look than anything I would have designed alone. It's a conversation starter. It's a testament to mixing new school tech with old school craft. So ask an AI to design something for you. You won't believe the results. Just be ready to make a few improvements along the way.